Despite being limited with knee and shoulder injuries all week long, Julian Edelman expected to play against the Bills on Saturday. Now, if you go back to the game Sunday against the Bengals, you could see how difficult it was for Edelman with that left knee tendon issue. Hard time cutting from left to right, and even on occasion going full speed. But he was still able to impact the game despite the 2 catches. In fact, drawing coverage on James White's touchdown, the first touchdown of the game. Now, the Patriots know that Edelman won't be 100%, but Tom Brady says we appreciate that he's out there. We know he's a tough guy. And when Edelman was asked about this, he said, this is what we play all year long for. It's going to be a wild environment. If you don't like this, then you picked the wrong sport.
My good stuff as always. Now in the AFC, the frontrunners, of course, still looking to lock up the highly coveted bye. Baltimore, they can secure said bye with a KC or New England loss. Meanwhile, the Patriots, they can nail down that bye with a win and a Chiefs L. And as we know, of course, the Bills in New England hoping to avenge that Week 4 loss. So, TD, we know about Julian Edelman, the knee just a little banged up. So what do you think? How's this one shake out, man?
Well, I've been impressed with the Bills the last couple of weeks, and the Bills want to get you into this street fight in a brawl.
Like Rocky 5, huh?
Like Rocky 5? No, 4. You know, that's the one I like. The best one is Rocky 4. That's my favorite one. But anyway, so with the Patriots and their offensive struggles right now, they will be in a street fight. And what I'm liking now is Josh Allen's his decision-making that I've seen the last couple of weeks. We saw last week against the Steelers how he went down the field. But let's take a look at Josh Allen in this scene right here. Is a cover 2. And what Josh is going to see his receiver right there in trips formation. That's John Brown. He wants to try to he can dump it off to the tight end for a first down. But he goes deep for this. And right there, McCourty comes over that backside safety, grabs it, and returns that for a couple of yards. Now, against Pittsburgh in this game, he made good decisions. Now, he's looking right there. He's got 2 verticals on the left side. But you see John Brown breaks it off. Instead of going for the deep shot, he said, you know what? I see the markers. Let me make this completion to John Brown. Smart decision-making. This is what this game is going to come down to. Marcel, they're going to go up there and beat the Patriots because this guy is going to make those decisions at the right time, not make those silly turnovers in the red zone.
Well, Marcel, he already knows that Rocky 4 was on Christmas Day versus Ivan Drago, and the street fight was versus Tommy Gunn in Rocky 5.
I still like Rocky 4.
So when it comes to New England getting this win, clinching the division, how do they get it done, Marcel?
New England just figures out a way to win. And they have the Bills' number. You know that, TV. Now, listen, used to, it's still present time right now, and that's what they've been doing. New England, I feel, is going to figure out a way to run the ball. But I think the more important thing is their defense and special teams, because those are the things that are going to set them apart against these teams. You're right. The Bills do like an ugly game. But this year, different than past years, the Patriots like that same ugly game right now because their defense and their special teams take over. The turnovers for the defense and the special teams are making the turnovers as well. When your offense isn't playing as well, the other 2 phases of the game are what set you apart. And the Patriots have that. They're supremely out-coaching everyone on the other side of the field, and that's how they win games this year.
They don't like ugly games. You have to deal with ugly games. They prefer to blow you out and have
you can call it whatever you want to call it as long as they're winning.
Right
they're winning, though.
That's what I'm saying.
They can lock up the bye this week, though.
A division win for New England will make it 17 of the last 18. And the Bills, by the way, they haven't won the division in nearly 25 years.
It's their time,
1995.
It's their time,
TD had that pencil-thin mustache back in the day. Now, over in the NFC, there are some big-time implications. They're coming your way on Monday Night Football. Minnesota, they can clinch a postseason berth with a win over Green Bay or a Rams loss. Meanwhile, the Pack, they can soak the division with a win over Minnesota. Same goes for Dallas. Beat the Eagles in Philly, and the NFC East, it is theirs. Jane Slater, she's in Frisco with the goods on those boys.
Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott finally got some throws in at practice on Friday, and that was significant because for the first time in his NFL career, he was limited at practice, not 1 day, but 2. At those other practices, we saw only 1 throw at practice, and the rest of it was him holding the ball with his left hand and then just working on some of those lower body torque movements. Now, on Thursday, in front of his locker, he addressed the AC joint situation and said it's an injury he's quite familiar with. At Mississippi State, he was on the run a lot, and he said he dealt with this injury a lot. He said the big thing was just making sure that he gave it some rest. He said because this thing was sore, but he also said that the pain has been annoying. He's dealt with worse in the past. He plans on getting some full throwing workouts in ahead of the game on Sunday, and as for added protection for the shoulder, he said nope, he's going to rely on his teammates to keep him clean.
Thank you so much, Jane. And when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, so much uncertainty surrounding the Birds headed into Week 16. We know Lane Johnson is out with that ankle, but so many questions. Nelson Aguilar, Derek Barnett, Jordan Howard, and Avonte Maddox, all questionable with their respective ailments. So Cowboys, of course, in Philadelphia, taking on those Eagles. TD, we know that Dallas is number one overall in total offense, but they're still just 7-7. We also know that Week 7 they absolutely smoked the Eagles 37-10. So how do they complete that season sweep, man?
Well, to me, it's two things. Number one, you talked about the way they've beaten the Eagles. They're 8-2 versus the Eagles in their own place in Philadelphia. Sure. So that bodes well for the Cowboys. I think number two is what I said last week. The Cowboys weren't missing pieces. They were a team that's more complete than a lot of teams in this league. The record doesn't indicate that, but they just needed to find confidence and find something that they were all on the same page. The game against the Rams last week, to me, said the Cowboys, they found their mojo. They found that missing piece. And you know how it is, Marcel. When you play a game and you just run through a team like the Rams, who are supposed to win that game, you walk out of that game feeling like you can beat anybody, any place. The Cowboys have confidence right now. That's what's going to lead them into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles this weekend.
Yeah, the Cowboys, as we know, they have so many talented puzzle pieces. But what needs to happen for them to get this win over Philadelphia here, Marcel?
The Dallas Cowboys have to trust their identity. I don't think they're having an identity crisis. They need to trust their identity, which is getting Ezekiel Elliott involved early and often and allowing other things to open up. Okay. When he is getting the ball in his hand and he is running through the defenses, he's wearing defenses down, that allows everything else to open up. The play action pass to Amari Cooper and Mike Gallup and company. And Jason Witten getting involved.
Yeah.
Once you start getting involved like that, then everyone starts to hit. Everything. It's like a shooter. When Klay Thompson is on, it's like shooting in the Pacific Ocean. And once you get Ezekiel Elliott involved for the Dallas Cowboys, that's what it's like for Dak Prescott and company. That's when their offense is rolling. They have to trust that and stick with it.
And they say he's the straw, right?
Stirs the drink.
He's the straw that stirs the drink. So when he's running like that, Tony Pollard had a big game.
Yes.
Jason Witten was catching the balls. Everybody out there just having a great time. It goes back to the confidence level. So,
And we know the Dallas Cowboys, they like to rack up yards. They have 6 games with 450-plus total yards. That's the most in all the National Football League. So we will see what Week 16 holds for Jerry Jones and company. So let's take a peek at some injuries as we get ready to set sail on Week 16. A few guys banged up. Jamal Adams, questionable, as is DJ Chark, both with that ankle. Jadeveon Clowney, he's currently listed as doubtful. And then there's Jameis Winston. We know what he can do with that thumb, throw for 5,000 yards per game. And then there's Derrick Henry. And word on the street is that he is expected to play. And you can't make the NFL 100 all-time team if you're hurt. And tonight at the top of the hour, we're finding out which of these wide receivers will join the NFL 100 all-time team. That's right, 24 finalists, including Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, and Larry Fitzgerald. And we got an early look at who got one of those coveted 10 spots. And Rich Eisen, he hosts the NFL 100 all-time team, and he joins us now from his DirecTV studio. And Rich, Randy Moss, as we know, already named to the NFL 100 all-time team. So what do you think? Why was he a lock to you?
Oh, wow. First of all, Bill Belichick was on the voting committee. And, I won't tell too many tales out of school here, but you will see on the program Belichick be as effusive as I've seen him about anybody involved in the NFL 100 all-time team. And you already saw in the defensive back show how he felt about Ed Reed and what he said to Ed Reed when Ed was sitting on the set. It kind of pales in comparison to what Bill says about Randy, whose numbers clearly speak for themselves. So that's what makes him a no-brainer for this. And then I think as everything fills out, there'll be some argument and debate as to who made it and who didn't and who should have, certainly in the group of players from the year 2000 on. And that seems to have been, I guess, a theme for this NFL 100 all-time team show is the surprise that people have of a dearth of players who have played in this century.
Yeah, and speaking of those players, so many different players that have that link to the one and only Bill Belichick. It's great that we have him on the show. When it comes to expectations, Rich, what can we expect on this one?
Well, again, the show started I'll drop a breadcrumb here. It's not really much of a breadcrumb. It's an entire loaf, but everybody knows what it is. The NFL 100 series started with Jim Brown being the first one, and Collinsworth had a great line saying that if this was NFL 1 as opposed to NFL 100, Jim would be the one. And the argument goes, if there really is one, who's the greatest player of all time, the true GOAT, the greatest football player of all time? Jim Brown is the name that's mentioned by a lot of people, and you can guess the name of the other person.
No.
And he happens to play wide receiver. So you might see somebody tonight that's an obvious one. And that's why I found it interesting that Randy Moss is the one who was revealed, because clearly Jerry Rice is one of the all-time greats, even more than just wide receivers. And the conversation that you're going to see tonight is just great. And obviously Collinsworth, being a receiver from back in his day, that's the way that he sprinkled in his comments with Belichick talking the way that few have seen him talk ever before. It's just another great show that's coming up tonight.
Certainly going to be must-see TV. Rich, thanks to you so much. It's going to be you, Bill Belichick, and Chris Collinsworth, and you're going to let us know who else makes that list. That's going to come our way at 8 o'clock Eastern. Rich Eisen, always a pleasure.
You got it, brother.
This is what we came for. Games that matter with playoffs and pride on the line.
When we're down to the wire, we're gonna see we're the best of the best. All we do is win.
Still to come, Saints or Titans, Drake or Carson, why Le'Veon gets his revenge, and why the Niners need a week off.
Pushing straight through the pain. When our back's up against the ropes, all we do is win.
Plus, how Kirk Cousins can get off the Monday night schneid, how the Rams can keep their playoff hopes alive, and how Buffalo's 3-year losing streak to New England will end. NFL Total Access coming right back.